You ever lose someone you loved, someone you took for granted? It's one of the most painful experiences in life, and it can haunt you forever. See, when a man has a good woman, a truly good woman, he might not even know what he's got until it's gone. He gets comfortable, complacent. He stops putting in the effort, stops noticing the little things that make her special. He thinks she's always going to be there, no matter what. But then, one day, she's gone, and it hits him like a ton of bricks. All those little things he didn't appreciate, all those times he took her for granted, they come back to bite him. And that's when the regret sets in, deep and heavy. It's a long, hard road to redemption, and some men never get there. They're left carrying that weight of regret, forever haunted by the woman they let slip away. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 stages of regret that a man goes through when he finally realizes he's lost you. It's not pretty, but it's real. And maybe, just maybe, understanding these stages can help some folks out there avoid making the same mistakes. At first, he just doesn't get it. He's in denial. He refuses to believe it's truly over. You're not really gone, are you? That's what he tells himself. This is just a temporary thing, a bump in the road. He might even laugh it off, act like it's no big deal. She'll be back, he thinks. She always comes back. His ego is bruised, his pride is hurting, but he covers it up with bravado. He tells himself and anyone who'll listen that you're just needing some space, some time to cool off. He convinces himself that you're trying to teach him a lesson, make him jealous, or that you're just as miserable without him. He might even start dating again, trying to prove a point both to you and to himself. This is that stage where he might be overly active on social media, posting pictures of himself having a grand old time, pretending he doesn't care. He's putting on a show, trying to convince the world, but mostly himself, that he's moved on. He's living in a fantasy land where you're just a phone call away, ready to come running back. But deep down, beneath that facade of indifference, there's a flicker of fear. He pushes it away, of course, because facing that fear means acknowledging the possibility that you're truly gone. And that's a truth he's just not ready to face yet. He's still clinging to those memories, those hopes that you'll realize you made a mistake and come crawling back. This denial, this refusal to accept the truth, it's a defense mechanism. It's his way of protecting himself from the pain of your absence. He hasn't yet allowed himself to process the loss, to truly understand the gravity of the situation. He's living in a bubble of his own making, a bubble where everything is fine, where you're just a misunderstanding away from being back in his arms. And this bubble, as comfortable as it might seem, is going to burst. It's only a matter of time. The denial can't last forever. Reality has a way of creeping in, and no matter how hard you try to shut it out. And when it does, when he finally starts to realize that you're not coming back, the denial morphs into something else, something raw, something powerful. It becomes anger. He's angry, but here's the thing, he's not angry at himself, not yet at least. No, his anger is directed outward, at you. You, the one who dared to walk away, the one who had the audacity to be happy without him. He starts picking apart your actions, your words, looking for anything he can use to justify his anger. Everything is your fault. You were too demanding, too emotional, too whatever he needs you to be to make himself feel better. He convinces himself that you were the problem, that you drove him away with your behavior. He might even start bad-mouthing you to anyone who'll listen, spreading his own version of the story, painting himself as the victim. He'll tell anyone who'll listen about how you weren't right for him anyway, how he deserves better. He'll talk about how he's moved on, how he's happier without you. This anger, it's a defense mechanism too. It's easier to be angry at you than to face the truth, to acknowledge his own role in the breakdown of the relationship, because deep down, beneath that rage, there's a gnawing guilt. He knows on some level that he messed up. He knows that he took you for granted, that he didn't treat you the way you deserve to be treated. But facing that guilt, that responsibility is too painful right now. So he lashes out, he deflects, he blames. This anger, it's a dangerous stage. It can lead to reckless behavior, hurtful words, and lasting damage. It's a cry for help disguised as fury, a desperate attempt to regain control in a situation where he feels powerless. But like all storms, this too shall pass. The anger will eventually subside, leaving behind a trail of destruction and a heart that's even more broken than before. The anger, as intense as it was, begins to fade. It doesn't disappear entirely, not yet, but it loses its sharp edge, leaving behind a dull ache of regret. He's exhausted from the fight, emotionally drained from the blame game, and it's in this exhaustion, this moment of relative calm, that the bargaining begins. He starts replaying every moment of your relationship, dissecting every fight, every misunderstanding, every missed opportunity. It's like a film reel stuck on repeat, each frame a painful reminder of what he's lost. The memories, once a source of comfort, now feel like a cruel joke. He fixates on the what-ifs and the if-onlys. What if he had listened to you more? What if he hadn't been so stubborn, so quick to dismiss your feelings? What if he had fought harder for the relationship for you? This is the stage where he might try to reach out to you. He might send you a long, heartfelt message, pouring out his soul, begging for another chance. He promises to change, to be a better man, the man you always deserved him to be. He's desperate to turn back time, to undo the past, to rewrite the ending of your story. But here's the hard truth. Bargaining is often a one-sided conversation. By the time he reaches this stage, you've probably moved on, emotionally if not physically. You've started to heal, to rebuild your life, brick by brick. And his attempts to bargain, however sincere they might be, can feel intrusive, even hurtful. It's a painful reminder of the past, of the pain he caused, of the trust he broke. This stage, it's a crossroads. It's the point where he can either cling to the past, trapped in a cycle of regret and what-ifs, or he can start to accept his mistakes and learn from them. The choice is his, and his alone. Bargaining is a desperate attempt to regain control, but it's a futile one. The past is the past, and no amount of wishing or hoping can change that. When this realization hits him, when he finally understands that there's no going back, the full weight of his loss crashes down upon him. The denial, the anger, the bargaining, they were all just masks, ways to avoid facing the unbearable truth. Now, there's nowhere left to hide. The depression that follows is not just sadness, it's a bone-deep emptiness, a hollowness that seeps into every aspect of his life. The things he once enjoyed, the things that used to bring him joy, now seem meaningless, empty. He might withdraw from friends and family, isolating himself in his pain. He's haunted by memories of you, by the ghost of your laughter, by the warmth of your touch. He remembers the way you used to look at him, the way you believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself. And that's the hardest part to bear. The realization that he had something precious, something rare, and he let it slip through his fingers. Now he sees you everywhere he looks. In crowded streets, in quiet cafes, in the faces of strangers. He sees you happy, living your life, moving on without him. And a part of him, a selfish part, wishes you were miserable without him because that would somehow validate his pain. He might try to fill the void with distractions, work, hobbies, meaningless flings, but nothing seems to stick, nothing seems to numb the ache in his chest. This is the stage where he finally confronts the depth of his loss, the magnitude of his mistake. It's a painful process, a necessary dismantling of his ego, a stripping away of all pretense. This depression, as all-consuming as it feels, is not a sign of weakness. It's a testament to the depth of his love for you, a sign that he's finally allowing himself to grieve. The journey through grief is a long and arduous one with no shortcuts or easy answers. It's a process of confronting pain, of sitting with discomfort, of learning to live with the echoes of what was. And while the pain never truly disappears, it does change shape. It softens around the edges, loses its sharp sting. Acceptance, the final stage, is not about forgetting or moving on as if nothing happened. It's about integrating the loss into the fabric of his being, about learning to live with the empty space where you used to be. He accepts that you are gone, that the relationship is over, and that no amount of wishing or bargaining can change that. He accepts his role in the breakdown of the relationship, acknowledges his mistakes without letting guilt consume him. This acceptance doesn't mean he stops caring, doesn't mean the memories no longer hold power. It simply means he's learning to coexist with the pain, to carry it with a newfound grace. He might find himself thinking of you less often, the memories no longer triggering the same level of pain. He might even start dating again, this time approaching relationships with more awareness, more intention. But even as he moves forward, there will always be a part of him, however small, that holds on to the memory of you, of what you shared, of what he lost. He carries that regret with him, not as a badge of shame, but as a reminder of the love he once had and the lessons he learned along the way. It's a bittersweet realization that sometimes the greatest lessons come from our biggest heartbreaks, and while he wishes he could go back in time and do things differently, he knows that's not an option. All he can do now is move forward, carrying the weight of his regret, but also the wisdom he gained from the ashes of what was. Loss, especially the loss of someone we love, leaves an indelible mark on our souls. It's a painful lesson, a crash course in the impermanence of life and the importance of cherishing what we have while we have it. When a man truly realizes he's lost you, the regret can be profound and lasting. He goes through the stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression. But even when he reaches acceptance, the weight of what he's lost never fully fades. For some men, this realization serves as a wake-up call. They use the pain to fuel personal growth, to become better partners, better men. But for others, the regret lingers, a constant reminder of the love they failed to cherish. Losing someone who truly cared is one of the hardest lessons life can teach. And the truth is, some men never fully recover. They carry the weight of their regret, a constant companion, a reminder of the love they let slip away.